Hello, today I'm here in this nice leafy suburb to share with you my thoughts and ideas about the Trecena of No'j. Now, No'j we can see as representing thought, we can see it as representing information, we can see it as representing problem solving and ideas. And so when you bring all those things together and let's say celebrate or experience a 13-day period which is kind of all about them, we can understand that this may be a time of new information coming in, this may be a time of new ideas coming in. And of course, as we're going through our cycle of creation, we've gone through the Trecena of bats, we've just gone through the Trecena of cat with Washiki bats in the middle. And here we are now moving into this Trecena of No'j. And if we're looking at it from this idea of the cycle of creation, then it's kind of like, okay, what new ideas do we need to take us forward? What new information might also be useful to us to help us to move forwards in our creative process? Now, for me, there's something very special with regards to the Trecena of No'j. You'll see that as we go through it. But really, we're looking at, okay, like how can we maybe think about things in new ways? And how is that new way of thinking going to bring our new ideas and new solutions out for this new period of creation that we're in? So we're going to start the day, we're going to start the Trecena with the day 1 No'j. Okay, so we have novelty in the number 1. We have beginnings and birth in the number 1, combined with thought, combined with information, with knowledge, with understanding. Okay, so literally the day of the new thought, the day of the new information is what we're beginning this Trecena with. And maybe this is a time when you're going to get that new information, or maybe you need to go out and look for it. Because, if we're looking for a new idea, if we're looking for a new solution, it's not going to happen if we're still using the same old information. So if you wanted to start maybe studying something new, maybe working with something new, then 1 No'j might be an ideal day to receive the first information out of it, to start that journey of knowledge, that journey of learning about this new idea, this new theory. Okay, so be on the lookout for it. Maybe you go and actively search it. If there's something you've always wanted to know about, then 1 No'j might be a great day to begin that path of knowledge. From 1 No'j, we then go into 2 Tihash. Now, 2 Tihash can be a very powerful day. I know myself from my life that 2 Tihash has involved several major life incidents throughout my life. And what we see with Tiash, the obsidian blade, the one who's here to cut away, the one who is here to bring discernment, discern what is useful, what is not useful, what is good, what is not so good. And like the surgeon skillfully cutting away, Tihash removes what is no longer required in order to purify, in order to move things up. Now, this could well be using your discernment with regards to the knowledge that is coming your way at this moment. You know, there's a lot of things out there that look good on the surface, but then when we kind of like, let's say, I was going to say bite into it, we find out there's nothing inside of it, that kind of thing, right? And Tutihash may well bring this kind of thing to a fore, may well bring this idea of like, okay, if we cut into it, what do we find? Is it something that we want to hold on to? Is it something that we want to let go? And that number 2, that polarity, that, that 1 or 0, there is nothing in between. It's either something that has to be cut away or it's something which, we want to keep. Okay? Maybe it's something that needs to be healed. Maybe it's something that needs to be allowed to go its own way. And so Tutihash may bring these things into a very stark contrast, this way, that way, however it might be. But, kind of, as I said, this can be a very powerful day for bringing that discernment in, for having that clarity. And that clarity is what we need within our knowledge to ensure that what we're working with and what we're learning is something which is going to be beneficial for our creativity and beneficial for our growth. From Tutihash, we then move into 3 Kawok. So Kawok, the Nawal of the rain. Well, hopefully by then Guatemala will have seen some rain. I hope. They're in desperate need right now. Kawok also representing the midwife, representing the one who is assisting the birthing process, the moving of the new into the world, the rain coming and the green coming back, the life coming back to the world. Now, there is a phrase which I understand with Kawok being seen as, or I understand it as Kawok being seen as the one who is the midwife to the resurrection of the maize, the resurrection of the maize lord. And this is something that we can certainly see in these 2 days, 3 Kawok and 4 Ahpu, which I'll get to in a moment. But with 3 Kawok, we see Kawok, the birthing process, with the number 3, which is from within. Now, if you have been following me for a while, if you've been looking at other things around, you often see that the 3 might be associated with the home. It might be associated with what's going on inside. Now, yes, there can sometimes be this idea about 3 being unstable, or 3 being rather introverted, as it were. But this is also where the creativity is. If you think about a birthing process, the baby is coming from the womb. That's within. That's where all that creativity is taking place. So just because the 3 is a low number and it's an odd number, it doesn't mean that it's not powerful in its own way when it is looked at in the right way. And this is about finding the creativity within. So it's about that creativity within being birthed out into the world. And this, for me, is what 3 Kawok is all about. It's the birthing that comes from the home place. Now, that home place could be seen as the Orion Nebula. This is kind of one of those mythologies that's in there, that was the place of emergence, that was the place from which everything came. And so 3 Kawok can very much be about like bringing in what's been holding on inside. So this may also be, kind of like with this new idea, it might be about birthing it into the world, birthing your creativity into the world. From 3 Kawok, we then move into 4 Ahpu. Now, 4 Ahpu I see as a very, very important day. And part of this is because it is seen as a day of creation in certain ways. That day of creation. Well, when did we see 4 Ahpu in this way? We would have seen it that way on the 21st December 2012. We would have seen it that way on, well, I think it works out as the 12th of April 3114 BC. This is a date recorded on Stela C at Quirigua as the birth of the new age, the bringing of the new time into the world, the creation day. Okay, so 4 Ahpu can be very much seen as the creation day. Why might that be? Well, you have Ahpu representing the divine and the number 4 representing the physical. So it's kind of like the manifestation of the divine into the physical plane. That's what 3 Kawok was helping to birth into being. That's why I kind of get excited about those 2 days, because like 4 Ahpu is, kind of like, it's come from this Washiki Bat's phase. We follow the cross of Washiki Bats, we would find that it was conceived in 13 Achabal. Oshlahu Achabal is the conception of Washiki Bats. 3 Oshi Kawok is the future of Washiki Bats. And if we look at that as this cycle of creation, what's it bringing into the world? 4 Ahpu. This can be seen as, kind of that bringing of the divine into the physical plane. This can be seen as the creation of a new era. And of course, this is why I go back to this idea of the Trecena of No'j being new ideas for a new era, because Forach Pu is the one who ushers it in. So we might ask on that day, if we see Ahpu as representing our spiritual path, if we see Ahpu as representing the one who brings the divine in, it's like, well, how are we going to represent the divine in the physical plane? How are we going to connect with the divine in the physical plane? This is something which might become very apparent on 4 Ahpu. This is something which we might feel very connected to on 4 Ahpu. And so, like, again, I see it with regards to, we might have this idea that we're on our spiritual journey, that we're on our spiritual path. 4 Ahpu might be asking us, right, okay, how can we really bring that into the physical so that it becomes something extremely tangible? It's something which is right there in front of us. And so that we can actually make it of use in the physical plane. Because again, it's kind of like, it's great having these high ideals about our spiritual path, let's say, but if we're not able to put it to use in the physical plane of existence, what are we really doing it for? So 4 Ahpu may well bring that up as well. From 4 Ahpu, we then move into 5 Imosh. So Imosh representing the dream, representing our connection with everyone around us. And here with the number 5, well, the number 5 representing work. And so working with the water may be one thing which comes up for the 5 Imosh. The other thing which may well come up is kind of like, sometimes we might find that the 5 days bring hard work. This is where we really have to focus on what we're doing. This is where we really have to, kind of like put our energy into what we're doing. And here we see it in our connection with the collective. And so sometimes we might feel, we're disconnected. Sometimes we might feel that, we just can't quite get on the same wavelength as, our peers or our surroundings. And 5 Imosh might suggest, right, okay, this is where we've got to put our effort into having the empathy for those around us, as it were. Because Imosh, I see it as being hugely empathic, because it's kind of like understanding our position within the great ocean of consciousness, as it were, within the sea. And here with the number 5, it's about us having to put our work into it. And so kind of like this is something which can be very useful. Now, I also want to highlight in that, maybe we've gone too far the other way. Maybe we have immersed ourselves too much in the ocean of consciousness. Maybe we've been, let's say, distracted by the thoughts and the feelings of others around us. Maybe that's taking us away from our path. Maybe that's taking us away from what we're supposed to be doing. And 5 Imosh may also be a good day to be putting your effort into recovering your own sovereignty, as it were, and extracting yourself from what is, kind of like what is maybe overly influencing you from society. Sometimes we get distracted by things which we can have no power over, we can have no say in. We just kind of get fried by it. And maybe that takes us away from actually focusing on what we're really here to do. And so 5 Imosh would be a good day to be working on understanding your individuality as well. From 5 Imosh, we then move into 6 Ik. What a wonderful day to express yourself. Okay? Ik, the Nawal of the breath. Ik, the Nawal of communication. And here seen with the number 6, one of the most stable days of all. Now, 6 we can relate to the values of the family, and therefore we can understand this would be a great time to be having that conversation that you might need to have with your family. But at the same time, we could see that the 6, if we represent it, or if it's seen as representing ultimate stability, can you imagine how well your words might flow on the 6 Ich day? Maybe you need to communicate something with the world, with your peers, with your community. Maybe if we're going back to the idea of knowledge, if we're going back to the idea of ideas, if there was a day to get your idea, your new idea out into the world, then 6 Ich would absolutely be it, because it brings you the stability to get it out there from the 6. But remember that the 6 also kind of like, we see it kind of like drawing above and below. And so it's, kind of like, it's not just stable and practical, but it's also kind of like, we could see it as sort of like divinely inspired as well. And so if we imagine that kind of energy behind your words and behind your expression, then 6 Ik could be a great day to make the announcement that you've been maybe waiting on for a little while, especially if it's got to do with your new ideas or new knowledge that you're bringing in. From 6 Ich, we then move to 7 Achabal. So Achabal representing the dawn and the dusk, representing the twilight and the new which is coming into the world, the new concepts which are coming into the world. And here we see it with the number 7. Now, I often think about this, especially when I'm thinking about the twilight. Okay, I'm going to use the dawn twilight rather than the dusk twilight as an idea about it. Let's say if sunrise is at 6 a.m., then around about 4:30 we start to get the first inklings that the new day is coming. By 5 a.m., we can't really see the Milky Way anymore. Astronomical twilight, that first half an hour of twilight, means that the sky is starting to turn blue from black. We then go through nautical twilight, where slowly over the next half an hour between 5 a.m. and 5:30, the stars will start to disappear as the sky starts to brighten. We can still see, well, if they are visible in the sky, maybe we can see Venus, maybe we can see Jupiter, maybe we can still see Sirius. Of course, that's not like really going to be visible in the sky right now. Those kind of things. The brightest, and of course the moon, if it's up, we will still be able to see. But we can see kind of like the day is really coming. And then we go for the last half hour, civic twilight, from say 5:30 a.m. through to 6 a.m. And this is where, it's easily like light enough to read a book. These are the 3 stages of twilight. And I, really feel that this is this transition phase. Well, of course, it's a transition phase between night and day. And this, really seeing kind of like everything's waking up. This is a conception point of the new day. And here on this day, 7 Achabal, well, the 7 can represent endings, it can represent finality, it can also represent choices and decisions that we might get from standing on top of the pyramid. But if we see it first as choices and if we see it first as finality, we can imagine this is like 5:55. Okay, this is kind of like right at the very end of twilight. In fact, I almost like to see it as that first moment, kind of like if you go out and watch the sunrise, you're watching the sky go all of those beautiful colours and all that kind of thing, and then it's getting brighter and brighter and brighter, and then finally that first ray of sunlight pierces the horizon. For me, that is 7 Achabal. That is kind of like the end of the twilight. Finally, the illumination has happened. Now, what's it illuminating? New concepts. And what does the 7 also represent? Choices. There we are, standing on top of the pyramid, standing on top of the mountain that we can see if we put the 13 numbers on a pyramid, the 7 being right on the top. And there we are, looking at it, looking out over it, choosing the new concept that we want to bring in. So 7 Achabal may bring many of these new concepts being revealed to you and asking you, choose, which one do you want to study? Now, of course, we can be multidisciplinary in our ways and all that kind of thing, but really, if you want to settle down and study a new system of knowledge or something like that, you got to choose which way you really want to go. And for me, 7 Achabal may bring that up. It may bring it kind of like out of the darkness, because Achabal bringing things out of the darkness and into the light. So it's like, right, okay, now that these things have been revealed to you, now that they've had light shed on them, Which one are you going to continue with? Maybe there's several different, let's say, new systems of knowledge or systems of knowledge which are new to you that you could follow. Seven Akbal might be the day on which things are revealed in brightness in order for you to make your choice. From seven Akbal, we then move into eight Cat. So Cat, the day which represents the carrying net, which represents liberty and also being bound. It can represent burdens as well as abundance that we carry. And so, which way are you going to use it? Well, Cat, I often find as representing it's a great day to be looking at what you carry and working out whether it's something you want to keep in your net or whether it's something you want to let go. Now, we are in this Trecena of new knowledge, of new ideas, of new solutions. And when we're looking at Cat, we're looking at, literally with the eight Cat, the wholeness of everything that we're carrying in our bag. Now, our bag, if we think of that as our mind or our thought or our consciousness, this could be about all the information that we carry. An 8 cat is asking us, have a look through it and see what is relevant and see what is no longer relevant, because it may well be that, a few years ago, there was some knowledge which was highly relevant to you. There were some ideas that you had that were highly relevant at the time. We have been through so much change in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, stuff which was incredibly relevant in 2004, actually, kind of like we can't even really find any reference to it anymore because it's not quite so useful. For example, but maybe you're still carrying that around. Maybe those ideas from that time are still something which are very clear in your mind. Maybe it's a time for understanding what you need to let out of your net in order for the new ideas to come in, what you need to let go of, what thought patterns you might need to let go of in order for new thought patterns to come in. Now, of course, the 8 day is also seen as a ceremonial day, and Cat can be representative of our abundance. So it's a great day to be making your ceremony to give thanks for everything that you carry in your net, all of the blessings that you carry. And it's also a great day to be making ceremony for your liberation from those things which, like, they're the burdens that you carry. Now, that might also be self-limiting beliefs. That might also be like thought processes which are no longer valid, which are actually holding you back rather than helping you to move forwards. And so these things can be addressed on that 8 cat day. And, if you were having a sort out, whether it's in your home, whether in your garage, whether it's in your head or in your community, 8 cat is a great day to be seeing things in wholeness and saying, right, okay, this is still a part of the picture and this doesn't fit anymore into the picture. So from 8 cat, we're then going into 9 can. 9 can representing life force energy, can representing power and wisdom, can represents our creative essence. And here, just below our belly button, is that center of energy, that life force energy that flows through us all and animates things, brings things to life. It brings us wisdom as it flows through our bodies as we channel it in different ways. Can brings out our wisdom. Now, it can also be the one that creates illusions. It can also be the one that brings out, kind of like manipulation, seduction, and those kind of things when it is, let's say, misused or when it goes out of balance. When it is in balance, it can represent our teachers. It can represent the wisdom that is passed on in order to empower us. And here we see it with the number 9, which can represent the feminine, so therefore it can represent women. It can also represent life because it represents the 9 lunations that we spend in the womb. And so we can see this as life wisdom. We can also see it as feminine wisdom. So, of course, this might be a great day to consult with the female teachers in your life, because it may well be the day on which their wisdom flows extremely freely. But one of the other things I would like to put in there is that this is the maturing of knowledge. Knowledge is not wisdom. Intellect is not wisdom. If No'j can represent knowledge and intellect, it needs to ripen, it needs to mature, it needs to develop to become wisdom. And on 9 Can, maybe this is the day on which that new knowledge that we're picking up on 1 No'j can be matured into life wisdom, can be something which empowers us. Okay, so 9 Can be an exceptionally powerful day. Now we can also see that if Can represents what we could see as our life force energy, and the number 9 represents life, you can imagine this again being a very powerful day to be working with life force energy. So, kind of like keep your eyes open, keep your wits about you, because this may be like a wonderful day to be practicing any of those disciplines that move energy around our body, because they may well bring life wisdom to us. From 9 Can, we then move into 10 Kame. Kame representing death, Kame representing the ancestors, and here combined with the number 10 representing community, representing society, and representing agreements. So how can we understand this within the context of the Trecena of No'j? Well, the way that I would see it is that by looking back at the way that our ancestors created community, this may well bring the new knowledge to us. It's something which we, often we're so busy moving forward, there's so much new knowledge, new information coming in. Sometimes we're forgetting about the old information. Now, we could also understand if Kame could be the transformation, then this might be the understanding of how to transform our community with the new knowledge which is coming in. It's a powerful day. It's a strong day. So one of the higher numbers. But it's also kind of like a day on which we may be looking for cooperation with our community and the people around us, helping us to understand how to transform. Because if we look at it as a transformation of community, we might understand that the new ideas, the new thoughts, or the new information that comes to us might be something that we can use to help to transform community. But we need to make agreements on it. We can't have it unilateral. We've got to kind of like go out to our community and make sure that it's something we all want to do together. So it's a really powerful day for for this kind of transformation. Yes, there may well be some fears to face, because Kame can often represent facing our fears, but aren't they easier to face when we're doing it together, when we're facing them hand in hand? And so for me, 10 days are often days when it's wonderful to go out and interact with the community around you. And here it would say, kind of like to maybe pool our knowledge so that we can overcome our fears together. From 10 Kame, we then move into 11 Kirch. Kirch, the Nawal of the wilderness, the Nawal of the forest, the Nawal of the deer, and here paired with the high and slightly unpredictable number 11. Now, the number 11 I see as being highly intuitive, as it were. But it's showing us which way to go, but not showing us the destination. And so we may get an impulse or an urge to go in a particular direction. We don't know why. We just know that today we got to go this way, or today we got to go that way, or whatever it might be. How long are you going that way? Well, until I get another impulse that's going to take me another way. And here, when we combine it with the Nawal Kirch, which is strong and can be forceful, and especially when we've got a strong number like the number 11 with it, it may bring some strong intuitions, some strong understandings like, right, I'm going that way. Sorry, cancelling everything, going that way, whatever it might be. Like, out my way, I'm coming through. I'm going this way today. Why are you going that way? I don't know yet. But I feel very strongly in my heart that's the way to go. Now, of course, Kech days, a connection with the wilderness. Kech days are days to go into the forest, to go into the wilderness, to go to the mountains or wherever it might be, the wild places near you, even if it's a park or a garden, which might be as close as you get to wilderness where you are, in order to connect with the wilderness, in order to connect with nature, to receive the wisdom, to receive the strength, to receive the answers from the natural world. 11 Kech brings up to me, kind of like, take a walk in the forest and don't take a map. Hopefully you'll find your way home. I know that might actually sound, maybe not such a great advice or whatever, but it's like follow your intuitions as you go in. Don't have a pre-planned path as you go in. Go into the forest and see which way the forest guides you. Follow your senses, because for me that's what Kech is all about. Kech has to tune in, to use its senses to derive knowledge, wisdom, understanding from the forest. And if we're kind of busy following our phone or whatever, telling us that we're going to go this way 100 meters, then turn right and all that kind of thing, we're not following our senses. So 11 Kech could be a great day to kind of get lost in the forest a bit. Go and see what you can find, because it's likely to bring the knowledge of the natural world. It's likely to bring the strength of the natural world. From 11 Kech, we then move into 12 Anil. Anil representing ripening. Anil representing the abundance that comes in when what we've been working on comes to fruition, when it comes to harvest. And so for me, 12 Anil, or the number 12, representing all of our life experience. So we can see this as the ripening of what we've been working on. And how are we ripening? We're using all of our life experiences. We've gone through life. We've learned to grow this, we've learned to grow that, we've learned how to develop this and that, and how to put our energy into it. And those things are all great. And 12, Anil gives us the opportunity to use all that life experience, to use all that skill and understanding that we've cultivated throughout our lives, in order to bring what it is that we're working on to its greatest abundance. So, I suppose that 12 might involve some sort of thinking around situations or whatever it might be, but the upshot is generally going to be good if it's Kanil, because this is a very favourable Nawal, representing the yellowing of the corn, representing coming to maturity. We could also see if that 12 might represent kind of like everything that we've been working on in our lives, and Anil represents coming to maturity. Well, you can see where I'm going with that. It might be an incredibly fortunate day where, kind of like a long-term plan, a long-term goal, a kind of like life goal that you've been working on is able to come to maturity. So it could be highly celebratory in that respect. It could be very, very useful, to see that coming in, to have that finally what you've been working on all your life is coming to its maturity. Maybe it's that new knowledge that came in with one No'j that has been like the missing piece in the jigsaw puzzle that allows you to bring that, that project, that venture, that idea, that harvest, that crop to its fruition. Okay, and so we could see 12 Anil as being a very, very powerful and beneficial day to finish something off, and to use that life experience in order to bring it to its maturity. And then finally, we'll finish with the day 13 Toch. So Toch representing service, representing payment. Toch representing giving back. Now, as always, I'll have my list of, I was going to say worthy causes, let's say, on the screen, so that you can choose to donate to them should you wish to. And when we see Toch, it's about giving back. Well, we've just gone through 12 Neil. We've just kind of like received the fruits of something we've been working on all of our lives. So of course we're going to give something back. And here we see it with the number 13, the number which can represent spirit, the number which can represent the ancestors. And so 13 Toch, a great day to be giving back to the ancestors, a great day to be working on your service to spirit. So it's also a very powerful day for those things to come up. So if there's a balance that needs to be redressed, if there's the opportunity to give back where it needs to be balanced, as it were, then 13 Toch is a very important one. Toch we can also see as the fire ceremony, making our payments for what we've received, making our payments for the knowledge that we've received, for this, all of these wonderful days that we've seen throughout the No'j Trecena, making our payment to give thanks to Spirit for supporting us, to give thanks to the ancestors for the knowledge that we've received. And so 13 Toch is a great day to support projects like the Popol Jay, for example, projects which deal with ancestral knowledge. So I hope that that has been interesting for you, and I look forward to seeing you again in 13 days' time for the Trecena of No'j. Thank you.